And we're live.
Oh, and we're live.
And we're live.
Sweet. Okay, well, everybody files in. Remember to like and subscribe.
I'm also here.
We've got Gwen in the house.
Gwen in the house.
Okay, so here's our Bronzino. We'll just get to the point. Anyway, this is Venus's kiss. Venus and Cupid. So naughty. Don't do that. Anyway, although this is Bronzino's beautiful ear, it's at this like kind of aggressive angle, but it's also an idealized version of the ear. So that's why we're going. That's why we're going for it.
I can be like the husband from that lady who paints. That really annoying husband.
I don't know.
Do you know that lady who does the painting tutorials? Who has the really annoying husband?
Oh my gosh, we're not calling out Mark. We can't call out Mark.
Yeah, I'm gonna be like,
now,
you know who.
Do you know how to, zoom in? Or can it zoom in?
I don't think we can zoom in, no.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it.
I can make it, actually, I think I can zoom in.
And we're gonna have to do something about these shadows too. It's actually not that bad, but let's see if we can zoom in.
Like, do you just want it like this, or bigger?
No, that's good. Where did you do that?
I just had to make the window bigger. There, like that.
Great. Thank you, Gwen.
You're welcome, not Gwen. This is our 200th video, by the way. Video number 200.
200?
200.
How's that possible? Wait, but some of them are public or
It
some of them are
counts
not
all the
public.
private videos, too.
Okay. All right, video 200. All right, I'll just draw a large. A lot of times, guys, I'll do an analysis of this, but not today. Not today. I'm just gonna draw. I'm gonna draw it large. Let's see, where's my top and bottom? Okay, cool. All right, so there's only 5 parts to the ear. There's the tragus, which is where I always like to start. Actually, technically when you're drawing an ear, you don't actually start with the tragus. You have to get to the ear, and you have to go through the cheekbone, and you have to go through the sideburns. I'm gonna put this little triangle here to represent this little curl. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. Look at that little spiral. Anyway, and then there's this huge skin gap between the sideburns and the beginning of the tragus. Anyway, that's just a side note. So there's the tragus, and then I go into the helix, and this is the arch that runs over the top. It's like the awning that keeps the rain out of your ear. But that's not the easiest way to remember it. The easiest way to remember it is that there's a tragus and an antitragus. Then there's a helix on the outside, and then like this Y shape in the middle, which is the antihelix. So it's tragus, antitragus, helix, antihelix, and then the part that everybody knows is the lobe, the earlobe. So let's go. So there's the helix, which is going to come down here. That's going to enter into the earlobe. The tragus is kind of big on my drawing. Doesn't matter. I think this is called the tragal notch. Anyway, this is like the lowest point. So this is when the tragus transitions into the antitragus. Feeling good. We'll put the earlobe down here. For whatever reason, Venus doesn't have like a large earlobe, but she does have a little dimple in here, and that's, her ears are not pierced, of course, but that's where your ear piercings happen, in the middle of that earlobe. These are all two-dimensional, or actually not even 2D at this point. They're just one-dimensional lines. I guess this does create sort of a shape. So remember, we go from one-dimensional marks to two-dimensional shapes to three-dimensional forms, and our form is going to be the cylinder, for the most part in here. Okay, so let's do that little Y shape. That little that's kind of interesting. The anti-helix, this Y shape in the middle, that has these two little legs at the top. They call them legs. So it splits off. But that's the 2D Y shape. I'm just going to come in. I'm using graphite, obviously, so that all of these lines, these construction lines, can all be, erased or blended out. This is the helix here. It is a cylinder, and it runs cylindrically all the way down. That's gonna matter when the light comes in here. And just like I swear, this morning we were doing this blue, Izzy, my daughter, and I were doing this bluey color pad, and there were all these hidden pool noodles. And if you think about the helix as a pool noodle, it makes it a lot easier to draw than the ear of a goddess. Okay, there's this little bump. There's this little bump that happens in a lot of people's ears. I guess it's like left over from, think about like a dog's ear. It comes to a tip. Our ears don't really do that, flop over anymore, but I guess it's like left over from there. What the heck is that thing called again? I guess it's called the tubercle. I've never memorized that. I just memorized the helix, the antihelix, the tragus, the antitragus, and the earlobe. And then once you have those 5 shapes, you know what to look for. Then you can kind of find how the light is impacting it. So the helix here is going to be throwing a shadow onto the inside of the antihelix. That's so nice. And then let's just figure out the forms. So we'll run the cylindrical helix down into the earlobe. I see the earlobe as like a flat, like cylindrical disc. So there's the side plane, top plane, side plane. Tragus, a lot of times a tragus has these 2 bumps, almost like the lower lip. There's like these 2 masses, but they kind of blend together into one. The tragal notch, and then the antitragus here. Okay, now we're in this shading moment. The bowl, this like disc, which is like what most of the ear actually is. I'm gonna carve this off. It's called the concha. Now, I'm not like a big anatomy person, but in terms of drafting and drawing, you have to know 3 things about it. So like you have to be able to like name the part, and then you have to be able to like understand the form. So like naming the form, cylinder, cone, pyramid, cube, sphere, that kind of things. I mean, the earlobe could even be like spherical. I've even seen those. Egg shape. Those are the other like kind of nameable forms. So if you know the anatomy, and then you can translate that anatomy into the form, almost like the geometry of it, whether it's a 2-dimensional shape.
Some people have their earlobe like connected to the skin.
You know who does? The most famous is Gwyneth Paltrow. I'm not trying to like name drop here, but I was in Rome and I was coming up from the Vatican. We had just seen the Sistine ceiling. We'd seen everything. And we were on this back road in Italy, and this little mini coupe came driving up this like cobblestone street, and this woman hung her head out the side of the car, was singing like opera notes, like very loudly, to get all of the pedestrians to clear the way. And she drove right. Everyone stood aside, and Gwyneth Paltrow came through. It was her singing out of the car of this Mini Coupe in Rome. And I was like, I just saw Gwyneth Paltrow. All right, this is the actual image. The head. We got to remember, ears are weird. Like the only time you actually see ears from this angle is when the head is in profile. And it's like attached to the side of the head. So this is actually a profile view. The Venus or the Cupid that's coming in, he's at a 3/4 view. Anyway, you guys can check that out. But this is a true profile view of the goddess. And again, the original painting, the angle is at this steep angle. I'm moving it straight up and down like this, so it's easier to conceive. It's a drawing lesson. I'm gonna. Oh, that's cool. Okay, so the goddess has got dark hair, or at least the hair is in shadow. So if you want the ear to stand out, it's got to be up against a dark ground. So I'm just gonna lay in a tone for the background. Can you, on your end, Gwen, can you hear this sound of the pencil?
I don't have the audio on because it would create like a reverb.
Yeah.
I can hear it from all the way over here.
I
So
know.
assume-
I bet you it's a really pleasant sound. Anyway,
Yeah,
I might be
drawing.
I might be talking too loudly if they can hear my pencil.
I'm drawing a lady with the earlobe that's like connected into the head.
Cool. So just that made the ear pop, and it's so much brighter. All right, so let's see if we can get this cylinder. So back up here, it's light side, shadow side. So even if I pull out some of those construction lines, I can get a soft, gentle tone. Now, the helix itself is still it's still a light object up against the dark of the helix. There's this little line of the anti-helix. So we've got the helix up here. The anti-helix is separated from the helix by a line, and it's a shadow line. So it's actually a really beautiful use of a line where it identifies as a shadow. So cool. All right, so there's this little moment where the helix does disappear right into the side of the head, and it kind of becomes, you can pick up the sideburns, or I guess the hair that's just above the sideburns. The legs of the anti-helix, they disappear behind the helix. I'm gonna take those lines out and just leave them tones. So pretty. All these transitions are now really subtle. Like look at the way the helix dips down into the I guess this trough is called the scapha, the space between the helix and the anti-helix. But it's so light, they just like run right into one another. That's actually a really beautiful, that's kind of a rarity. So you can see that the helix up here is clearly in front of the anti-helix, and then they run together in the middle. Look at the subtlety of these tones. I'm sure this is where the hair ends and the skin begins. Now the skin is also in shadow, but you can see it's a different color. It's like a cooler flesh tone versus the actual hair. And the lesson isn't about the rest of the head or the rest of the face, but it does have to be about everything that surrounds the ear. So you can't just draw the ear, it has to be in context. And this is kind of a transition zone between the full curls of the hair and the neck. Early on in a process when you're drawing, at least for me personally, is I get so excited because I'm drawing something for the first time, and you're like, it's nervous energy. You almost like don't know how it's gonna go, and then you find the pieces, you address them, you understand, you start to understand the form, what's going on in the picture, the lights and the darks, the masses, and then it's about rendering them. And when I say rendering, I mean just like shading, like just toning, removing lines that you don't need, adding lights and darks where they're supposed to be. I'm never letting go of the idea that it's an ear. So you can look at lights and darks, you can look at forms, but I always have like ear in the forefront of my mind. So it's easy to get lost in, oh, what part is light, what part is dark, how big is this shape, how big is that shape. You know, you're really analyzing it intensely, but you never can lose. You can never lose the intention, which is to make an ear. And it's not just any ear. It's a highly idealized ear of a goddess, which kind of, in one sense, ups the ante a little bit because it's got to be good. But also, it's not like you're drawing. It's not like I'm drawing my daughter or my wife where it has to be the exact ear. You know, whenever you have a character in a narrative. I mean, it could be biblical, it could be mythological. There's less consequences to because nobody knows what they look like for sure.
If you draw someone and then you show it to them, and then they're like, oh, that doesn't look anything like me.
I know.
That's just embarrassing.
Yeah, and if you draw someone and they don't like it, you're not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. You're not going to hurt Venus's feelings. I can promise you that. Oh, it's so subtle. It's so nice. And I've already gone. It's so interesting because Bronzino paints this so subtly, meaning like so subtle, meaning like low contrast. I mean, graphite pencil doesn't even go that dark. You know, I'm not even using like the deepest darks that I can. And this ear is in shadow. I mean, the highest contrast is going to be in the face. You know, look at the chroma. Like, look at how bold the colors of the lips are. Look how bold the colors of this cheek. Like this massive, beautiful cheek. I mean, obviously, it's a lesson for another day, but the ear is quiet. You know, it is toned down. Bronzino's done that in a couple other versions where he'll put like the ear is so prominently positioned in the portrait, but the ear is a lot. It's like it kind of cause a lot of attention. So, you know, in profiles. So sometimes the hair will cover it partially, and then he will often cover it with, you know, like a sheer cloth where you can kind of see through it still. There is a big color separation I'm noticing. You know, the ear is warm. You know, there's all these pink notes in the ear. I'm actually adding some tone, thinking about the color, not just thinking about the lights and darks. You know, drawing is a bridge to painting. So painting is essentially drawing with colors. So when you are drawing, it's okay to have, you know, to make it a little bit more, you know, have color in mind as you're, you know, just working in black and white. Live streaming, baby. I don't know, the experience at I thought the live stream would feel different. It doesn't. It feels exactly the same. So that's good. A lot of my marks in here are obviously overemphasized. I have big ears, so you can't help but put your own characteristics into your drawing. It's actually, I think it's a good sign of a painter, where
You've always said that
all art is a self-portrait. It is. I don't think so. So I erased that little notch so that I could have her little curl. There's this little delicate curl. So I need tones on either side. Can you look that up and who said that first? All art is a self-portrait. I think I heard it from my teacher, but he will usually if he picked something up from someone else, he would usually reference it.
It's not like a famous quote anywhere.
No. Yeah, that's attributed to Myron Barnstone. I love that. I don't know. I'm sure he's got a lot of quotes, but all art is a self-portrait is a good one. Oh, I'm so happy I got to give him a shout out on my first live stream
Your first live stream was
with no viewers. I can't tell if we have viewers. I don't think there's any viewers. Well, stick around. We're doing this every day. We're gonna do a live stream every day. And, you know, at Mitchell School, we have content that, you know, we have classes that are for adults, we have classes that are for kids. And I don't know if we'll mark these lessons. I mean, this is obviously probably more of an advanced lesson. But I mean, is it advanced? I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the whole world is. We're in a little ivory tower up here where I think everybody knows how to, everyone's been drawing for their whole life, but maybe they haven't. I'm going to catch everybody up though. That's what this is about. Oh, look at that.
I feel like everyone is an artist. Like every person's an artist.
So this video is for everyone. You'll get there eventually. Everyone.
Like, I don't think there's anyone who doesn't create art in some way.
No. If you're human, you're an artist.
I just think a lot of people, like, perceive the word artist as, like, visual art or musical art. That's pretty much it.
Yeah,
Even though art is
they're medium.
everything. Everything is art.
I had a professor in college who would say, all is politics. She was a poli-sci professor.
I drew a picture.
That's pretty. That's pretty. I can't get over this earlobe. I've drawn my earlobe.
Do you have your ears pierced?
No, I don't have my ears pierced, but I did draw my ear. So I'm gonna try and draw Venus's ear.
It does look like ears.
So I'm gonna downplay the lobe. We're not gonna go full Gwyneth Paltrow.
I think earrings would look good on you. I think you've got the earrings vibe.
Thanks. All right, let me see if I can pull this hair over here. Watch it dance. Her sideburns are just moving. Yeah. Such a treat. This is such a treat. What a way to start the day. First drawing of the day.
Who's excited for lunchtime?
Me.
I know I am.
What's our time? What's our time like?
10:45.
I know, but how long is the video? Let's move. I'm gonna
I'm streaming for 23 minutes.
all right. I want to show this other one. This is gonna be tricky. I think I can do it though. It was the other ear that's less, it's obviously less famous, but it's so good. It's at a great angle. We're looking at Bronzino today. Here it is. All right. There we go. Look at this lady. Unreal. Look at that profile. All right, I'll just do a quick one. Me too. She looks like Madam X, the John Singer Sargent.
I really like hooked noses and like outward curving noses.
Do I have enough room here? There we go. All right, so her head is tilted back a little bit still. Oh yeah. All right, tilt it back a little bit. So I'm feeling it here, feeling it there. I might still draw larger. I'll still draw. Oh, wow, look at that. Okay, look at that. Epic. So there's no two bumps here. This is just one massive tragus. Then there's the tragal notch. So it's like this S curve that comes off the bat. And then there's the one lower notch of the antitragus. So cool. Okay, so now we've got the beginning. See this little slot that happens? This little shaded slot between the tragus and the antitragus? Excuse me, the tragus and the helix. So we're going to pull up. I really am thinking in straight lines. I know it doesn't seem like it. I'm drawing a lot of curves. But so we're angling up. We're going to come across the top and then come down. Now, this is what I was talking about. Like the prominence of the ear. He felt like he needed to tone it down. So he put this, sheer cloth painted right on top of it. But this guy knew his ears. It's so funny because some of the great artists that I love, not all of them. I'm just gonna call out Lautrec, but Lautrec being one of my favorite artists of all time. He just did not. He didn't live that long. I'm older than Lautrec was, ever. So helix, come back down in, really cuts hard over before you get into that disc of the earlobe. Such an interesting construction. It does have the spiral effect, but then it's almost Doric in some of those angles. So we've built the helix, and then what is the distance between the helix and the tragus? That can be a huge distance, and then you got to fill in the middle. So we're going to do the legs of the antihelix. We're going to run down and then re-enter into the top of that notch, which is the antitragus. So the antitragus meets with the antihelix. Beautiful. So those are all the parts. Now, we have tones that help define the legs of the antihelix and the kind of the moments where the antihelix and the helix are separated. So that's good. When I'm drawing these lines here, eventually the line has to identify with the background or the subject. So I'll try to explain what I mean. The top of the line up here for the top of the helix, that gets blended into the hair that's in the background. Where, I guess it's mostly figure to ground. So the top of this notch here, the top of the notch of the antitragus, that's going to get blended into the concha, I think it's called, that bowl, that large, broad bowl. Soften that out. Look how smooth the tones are inside of that in the innermost part of the ear that's visible. That in between the tragal notch, this little semicircle right here, that's the actual ear canal. Now you can't see in there, but it's there. It's the old, this is where your Q-tip would go.
You're not supposed to do that. Everyone still does it.
Yeah, you got to be careful. I'm not here to promote Q-tips. Can you imagine if I got a let's see.
Break for that? Promoting Q-tips.
Promoting Q-tips. They could be a sponsor. All right, here it gets tricky. We've got the in between the legs of the antihelix. Let's soften that out. All those lines now become tones. Not all of them, but most of them. She's got no extra sideburns. So this is the beginning of the hair. So that's so interesting, that same mentality. It's like so exciting identifying what needs to be drawn, and then the shading just takes a slightly different mindset. But what's really beautiful about graphite, as you consider the painting as the next step, you can manipulate the graphite while it's on the surface and paint, oil paint, and even acrylic to a degree. You can, the acrylic dries so fast, so you got to move fast if you're gonna change your brush strokes. But oil, you can blend it out. You can not blend it. You can make decisive strokes. You can scrape it off completely. Graphite, it's not paint, but it has similar properties to paint, and it's a nice bridge. Now, using dark marks on white paper is more of a watercolor concept, but the way you can manipulate the pigment on the paper, charcoal too, it's very painterly. Look at that. I mean, this is like my brush. This is like what I do with my brush. Now, for every suggestion, there's an exception. For every rule, there's an exception. So, do I dare? I am. I'm going to do it. I'm going to come draw a little bit with my eraser to start to suggest that sheer cloth. Probably should just leave it out, but some of those tones get even lighter because the white cloth is covering them up. So what were sharp lines now get a little diffused. Cool. So unlike my buddy Bob Ross, I'm doing these videos. I'm putting them out into the world so that you will actually do them. Please, learn to draw an ear. We're living in the future here, and in a world 30 years from now, everybody knows how to draw like a master. There's no reason to not. I don't want to get into 20th century, late 20th century art education because it's kind of a big topic. But the fact that there are people that have grown up and spend their whole lives not having just the basics of draftmanship, it's a little bit sad, but it's not going to last forever. So everyone must draw. It's good for the soul. It's good for the mind. And you have these people doing Sudoku to maintain mental acuity.
I love Sudoku.
I can promise you drawing is better. I'm not knocking Sudoku. We love Sudoku. But we also love great artistic expression. So cool. I'm obsessed with this sheer, the effects of this sheer cloth. All right, so remember we were talking cylinders, and I was kind of losing the form a little bit. So I'm going to reestablish it for myself, my mind, the pool noodle. So I have this big, long pool noodle, and we know that the shadows are going to be on the shadow side of the ear is on the right side, but even though that ear is in shadow, it's still a light ear up against her dark hair. And it's not only her dark hair, but it's her dark hair in shadow. So you can see it as a dark line, but it is the back of her head that is a dark object in shadow. So even though the ear is light, it's a light skin in shadow, it's still lighter than the hair from that position. Hopefully that makes sense. So, you know, the proof is in the pudding. If you have a beautiful drawing of an ear, you've done well. If not, try again. Yeah, look at how the he's using this cloth so effectively. It's so good. So I'm just trying to get the tone of the ear, even though it's the lightest part of the ear. It's not as light as the fabric. So if I want the fabric to stand out, I've got to give a little bit of tone to all of the skin so that the white of the fabric will be the brightest tones. Anyway, the other reason I use this material, I mean, there's so many ways that you can sketch, but this is just a Bic pencil. They call it number 2. It stays sharpened all the time. You can buy them by the boatload, and it blends really nicely. It erases really nicely, and in order to get good at drawing, you got to draw a lot. So, I hope that people benefit from these, and you can watch them a number of times. And obviously there'll be feedback from people attempting it. So if you do attempt this, please tell me that if it's working. I'm honestly doing this for people that can't take the class, or for my future generations. This is basically for my grandkids if I'm not around. And Gwen, well, it's for everybody. But if I don't last until if I don't see my great-great-grandkids, if they haven't developed proteins that can bring your stem cells back to youth and make that readily available, I may not be around in 100 years. So this is for the peeps. Such a pretty thing.
You're gonna be old one day. Can you believe that?
You might not, dude. You
Don't
may
say
not.
that.
You'll be old and wise, but you may not experience. You may not have to have gray hair. What was it? What was it yesterday that they? Oh yeah, I put myself How do I pause it? How do you do break time?
You click on break Tim.
We're breaking time with this since we're in the future. I got it. So check out this photo.
Wait, you also have to turn off our audio.
So the audio's still on. It's fine. So if you look at this great picture that I generated in AI, it identified me as having gray tipped hair.
Which is hilarious.
How do I get off of it? So I go to desk cam.
Multi-scene.
Multi-scenes. Anyway, if anybody can draw Bronzino in a way that you think I can benefit from, please help.
I'm drawing some seals.
But I'm obsessed with this one. I'm having a good time.
Seals are really fun to draw because they're so round. And they already look kind of silly, so it's hard to mess it up.
Do you know what the SEAL's favorite class in school is? Art.
You made this joke to me yesterday.
I do it every day.
Okay, will you make it to me again?
I'm a dad, bro. I got dad jokes. And look at that. All right, so I'm happy with this one. The ear's a little pointy. How many mins are we?
39.
I wonder if we should do one more.
Do you think 14 is too late to start roller derby?
Yes.
Aw.
No, actually 14's not. 20 is.
I want to try roller derby, but I'm scared that I'll
Dude,
get hurt.
you gotta get good at I tried to play hockey when I was in college. I'd tried to learn to skate while I was in college. Did not happen. I mean, I learned to skate. I couldn't play hockey though.
Oh, I never showed you the drawing I did yesterday while you were gone.
All right, let's do a quick review. I'm just gonna travel, make sure everything has its. I'm looking for looking for unity in light, believe it or not. So I just want to make sure everything has a light side, a shadow side, a cast shadow, and a proper figure to ground relationship. And sometimes you need a line to help delineate one object from another. Sometimes you don't. So we'll look into we've got our tragus. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I'm so happy I did this. All right, so we have the tragus, which is the light side. We have the line that separates the tragus from the concha. We have the shadow side of that tragus. We have the tragus notch. There's the line, and it does need a little bit of shadow side in the middle of that lip. Okay, cool. Then we have the notch at the antitragus. I'm gonna pull that little cast shadow because it's almost like a little bump, and that throws a shadow. That's good. Okay, I'm gonna make sure this. I make this as like I literally think about a bowl, and it's like I'm always like paranoid about cleaning that part of my ear. All right, so we're gonna do the line that separates the helix from the antihelix. So cool. Throwing a little shadow in there, little line there, and then we've got the helix, which is going to have a light side and a shadow side all the way down. It switches here, so the top is light, the underside is in shadow, and then it swaps. Okay, so I'm going to soften all of those lines on that side. The front of the helix.